What's going on, Syndicate members? I'm here with Trevor, and today we're going to have a quick chat about media buys. This is a subject that's actually come up with a few members in the last couple of weeks. If you've never even heard the term a media buy, good. That means that this video will be for you. It's actually something that I haven't dealt with a lot with personally in my career. It's just not something that's really come up so often. But Trevor has dealt with them quite a bit in his career, working with the different labels and libraries that he's been sort of in charge of and doing mixing for and also composing for, obviously, as a producer himself. So let's just start with some sort of, fundamental definitions. What is a media buy, Trevor?
Okay, so I guess I'll start with like why you want to know about media buys, and then I'll explain what they are. The reason why you want to know is because BMI, when it comes to commercials, any kind of commercial that's in between a program, like in between because those change, right? Like the music and like a TV show is always the same in that TV show, but the commercials in between are different. And so those are actually like looked at different by BMI and ASCAP, and they don't actually just pay you for it when it airs for commercials. They actually want the composer and the publisher usually to prove it first. And so they if you I'll pull up a thing on the website. Basically, they need information from you to prove that that your music is in a commercial, and then they pay you. So usually you don't get paid for commercials because most people don't go through that process. Most people don't even know that's important. So the proof that they need, they accept a bunch of different things, but the one thing that I've heard of that is like they will accept it if you get them this, and that's the media buys. And the media buys are basically the receipt for whoever pays. So for example, if Pepsi pays NBC for 4,000 plays throughout the month of January. So throughout the month of January, this Pepsi commercial will play 4,000 times throughout on their network in between shows or whatever. BMI won't know that number unless, I mean, they might know it, but they don't say they know it unless you show them the media buys, which is that piece of paper. It's that piece of paper that says Pepsi is buying 4,000 plays on this network for this month. And then BMI goes, oh, okay, now I know that information. Now I will pay you. If you don't get them that, they usually don't pay you. So the way, and this is where it's kind of a tough situation, is because most the media buys come from the company. So like the media buys will come from Pepsi, because Pepsi is the one who gets that receipt, right? So Pepsi is the one who pays for X amount of advertising time. Now they have that piece of paper. There's just like music isn't the only people that's going to bug them for that piece of paper. Actor unions will bug them for that. There's a bunch of stuff that'll bug them for that. So you're not the only one who's going to be bugging them for it. And usually and a lot of times they don't. Like in my experience, most of the time, they won't even return your email or your phone call about it. They're just not going to go through the trouble, because usually they don't own if they don't own the publishing, they really don't go through the trouble, because it doesn't put any money in their pocket to spend the time to get you that piece of paper. If they do own the music, then sometimes they will, because then they get some of it too. But yeah, so that's what BMI needs. Some other times they'll accept things, and if you go to their website, and I'll pull it up here in a second, if you go to their website, they actually have a spot. Actually, I'll just pull it up now. Okay, so if it's on me, so yep, in their section, they have a section about commercial jingles, and here's kind of how and this is basically the what we're talking about here. This is how they accept that stuff. So you would email cjingles at BMI the information. You would email them the song that it is, the writer information, the publishing information, the media buys. You give them all that information and be like, hey, now can you please pay me, since you don't do it automatically like everything else. And this is kind of a little thing saying, oh, we accept some stuff, and they kind of say we accept documentation like a sync license or contract. They don't mention media buys on here, but every time I've ever gotten paid, it's because of the media buys. And I think they don't mention it because they don't really want people to know, but
right.
Anyway, but yeah, so that's how it is now, as far as like you as a composer, because right now we're talking to the composers, right? So how do I get out of screen sharing?
Before you go on, let me ask a couple of questions, and maybe I hope maybe you know, maybe you don't know. So even on that definition on that sheet you show up there, it says commercial jingles, which it said it's either pre-existing or specifically written for an advertiser advertising a product or service. When most people think of a jingle, they think of an actual song that somebody is either singing, or it's kind of like the NBC logo, bum bum bum. You know,
Yeah,
it's
to
an
them,
actual. Hmm?
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but yeah, to them
Oh no,
it's the
yeah.
same.
So the question is, are they actually talking about anything that's been produced specifically for an advertisement campaign, or does it actually have to be a jingle in terms of your music is actually being married to the product or the service?
No, throw the in your mind, throw jingle, like the word and the way that you think of it. Like, don't think of it that way anymore, because it doesn't, like, there's no difference between a piece of music and a commercial and a jingle, really, apart from, at least on a technical sense, according to BMI. Between like me and you, I may go, oh, it's a jingle because it's like Nationwide is on your side or whatever, but like that's more of a jingle than the random hip hop beat in the background. But to them, it's no different. So music in the commercial is a commercial jingle,
Gotcha.
like just in their, like the way that they define things.
Okay.
So whenever you have background music in a commercial, or you're the person who created Nationwide is on your side, you're going after the same thing. So it's not, although it is different, it's not like, it's different on what it is, but to them it's not. You're still going the same route to get
Gotcha.
paid.
It's just a classification for them.
Yeah. Yeah. So since we're talking to composers, though, the issue here is that there are usually two steps in between you and getting the media buys, right? There's the company like Coca-Cola, then there's probably the library, and then there's you, and that's the short end. Like sometimes there's
the company, the advertising agency,
Yep.
then the library, then you.
Right. That's what I was. Yeah. So that's the short one. Then there's more. I mean, I worked on a project where there was the company, the ad agency, the director of the ad, the music supervisor, and then me. Like that's
Right.
a lot of people. So it's like it's tough to kind of get that ladder all the way to the person I need to give me that thing. So it's one of those situations where you have to really, like, if you have a good relationship with everybody involved, like, then, bring it up. But if it's kind of like, if you don't know, then you got to use your better judgment and be like, okay, do I bug them and annoy them about it?
Right.
Or do I just, maybe just bring it up once and then never bring it up? Like, it's kind of one of those situations where you got to kind of see how to handle it. Cause I've been a part of situations where you bring it up one too many times and they're just like, oh, this guy won't shut up. And then, they don't like you anymore, so it's a judgment call.
Yeah, like you said, though, if you're working with a library where they're taking some publishing or all the publishing, your pitch should always be, you guys are losing out on money too.
Yes. Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing for us to be aware of, that when we're going to go reach out to our libraries, to the people we're working with, so that you don't seem like you're just being a bother to them, as you say, listen, you guys are losing money on this too. We're both losing money on this. Let's work together to go put some pressure on to get this media buy paper out there. Now, the other issue is that as far as various networks, there are some networks that actually don't pay royalties, that don't pay the back end royalties for these kinds of opportunities. So even though you have a commercial, let's say on a certain network, you think, oh, there's tons of royalties that I'm missing out on, but there actually aren't any royalties. And maybe this could be a video we should probably get into another time. But there are certain times where, and I've definitely learned this, where I'm like, hey, I should be getting all these royalties, and I find out, oh no, that network doesn't even pay back end royalties. I don't exactly understand how some of them are getting away with that, or how that works. Maybe you have some more insight into how that's working.
Well, yeah, two things to say that. One, these companies actually don't have to pay royalties at all if they can get music. Like if TNT just goes to like 4 different music libraries and says, hey, we're going to stop paying BMI and just pay you. Right? Like, yeah, they could do that. So that's what's going on with like the Scripps networks, like HGTV. They're just like, they have companies that'll supply them enough music without being signed up to BMI. So they just do it. Now the media buys is different. So even if, so HGTV doesn't pay royalties, but commercials on HGTV do pay royalties, because HGTV isn't actually the people paying the royalties. It's the ad agency. Like, it's the money that the ad agency pays to
advertise on their network.
Yeah, and that money is defined different when it comes to BMI, and so they don't actually look at it as like a network thing. And so, at least from my understanding, I'm pretty sure that's the way that it is, because you can see, because they don't, it would be insane to try and track and also to try and do paperwork for all of the, I mean, how many commercials, you've seen one commercial on 10 different networks, 15 different networks at a time. That's another reason why I'm pretty sure that the media buys thing is such a big deal to them, because it's just a total number. You know, it doesn't matter where it goes. It's just we've paid to have this music on TV this amount of time. So I don't know if it's necessarily network specific as much as it is there's a total and then it gets split off into networks afterwards. And so
yeah.
So either way, like if something is being aired as a commercial on a network, you more than likely can get paid for it if you can get the media buys. And I mean, if you can't get the media buys, try and get like the sync license and the contract, right? Those two things don't have to do
from
with
your
the
library,
actual company. Yeah.
Whoever you signed with.
Yeah. So if you're working with a library and they can't get the media buys from Coca-Cola or whatever, you might be able to swing it if you give them the sync license information and be like, hey, we couldn't get the media buys, but here's the license. You know, here's all the information I have. Here's the, you know, and all this stuff. BMI might be able to work with you there, but it's not very guaranteed as much as the.
Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, and going back to some networks not paying, it is one of those things, and I guess this is kind of what we're talking about in this video. We've covered it many times, is that everything is negotiable in this business. Everything is. And so when people are saying, well, that's not fair, I don't know what you can do with that kind of complaint. I mean, hang on to a complaint, I guess. But like, yes, life's not fair, and some people pay more, some people pay less. So there is always these variables that are completely outside of your control. And worrying about them being unfair or, you know, hating on them or whatever, it's kind of a useless waste of time. It's probably a better use of your time to learn or try to figure out how you can become more valuable and more useful and more profitable with the skills and talents that you have. And obviously you do need to always be measuring who you're submitting music to, what kind of outcomes you're getting, what kind of back-end royalties you're getting. And just sort of obviously keeping track of that stuff in the long run and seeing how your royalties checks are stacking up in the long run. And if you're not seeing they're kind of falling asleep on you, you're not getting the placements that you want to see, you're not seeing enough. And how do you know, right? Like, how do you know, is it enough or is it not enough? That's a very subjective thing. I can't tell you a certain dollar amount that you should be getting, or else like ditch that library, because honestly, it's like sometimes you'll get like, you know, $5 on your first royalty check and you're like, well, this was stupid. I wasted a whole year. You ditch them for 6 months and 2 cycles later, you get a $6,000 check. I mean, it does happen. So you just never know. You know, some libraries, they might acquire, they might have a slow season where they don't have a lot of clients. And then, you know, they get a new CEO or a new person comes on board. It happens all the time. And it's like they acquire somebody, pay them a ridiculous salary because this person has all the relationships. And it's like, hey, we just acquired this guy. Library X definitely did that. They acquired somebody who has a lot of pull, a lot of power in the sports licensing sector, a lot of sports networks and stuff. And so that's what they'll do, is maybe if they want to sort of acquire more placement opportunities, they'll acquire a person with that juice, with that clout in the business. So I can't tell you exactly what the right amount is, what the wrong amount is. But if you're feeling the sense of there's forward momentum, your relationship is getting stronger, you're getting more direct pitches, maybe some of the custom queues are starting to go directly to you, right into your inbox saying, hey, you're one of our go-to people now, and we're going to go to you. If you're feeling like you're becoming one of the team, that's a great sign. That means that they are building a platform, a network, and they're including you in it, right? You're not just one of the peripheral. And trust me, there are layers of writers on catalogs. Like, there are their go-to guys. They have their inner circle, which is like they have the high quality stuff and they always deliver. They have their backups, right? You don't want to be on the B team that's like, okay, we couldn't get this person, so let's just throw it to them, see what they can do. You need to get into that inner circle. And the only way to get there, obviously, is to control what you can control, right? Not complaining about the world or the industry not being fair, but just making your tracks better, constantly producing, constantly making music. And just like the video I put on my YouTube channel yesterday, which was and talked about you guys here in the syndicate about the 30-day challenge. If that's been one of your issues, start just finishing like your tracks. That's like, you know, that's what you can control right now. The media buy stuff, you know, you can kind of push a little bit. You can kind of see what you can get out of that. But if you can't, you got to move on. You got to start just, you know, control what you can control. Actually do something within your own power. So anyways, any last words of wisdom, Trevor?
Yeah, just to kind of add on that, like on a with some personal anecdote thing, even knowing the media buy thing, I've probably gotten less than half of them that I've done. You know, like even though I know that they exist, I've probably actually gotten and been able to get paid on things probably less than half the time. And that's not fair, but it is what it is. You just gotta go, all right, well, this time I didn't get the media buys. That sucks. Maybe I'll try and get them, maybe I'll get them next time, and I think if you don't get it, like, because at first, the first time it happened, I was like, man, this, it's really discouraging, but it's, you either just dwell on it or you move on and just keep moving forward, because there's nothing you can do. It's unfair, and life goes on.
Yeah, man. And like, that's a big thing, I think, with producers. As you guys can see, Trevor just admitted that it was a big demotivator and it sucked and it wasn't fair. But do you see him sitting around bitching about it, complaining? No, he just moved on. All right, that sucks. I think I missed out on some money, but let's just go get some more. Let's go make some better music. Let's just keep moving forward. That is the mindset it does require. And I know a lot of producers, they come on my channel and they comment all the time, and they're just like, yeah, but it's not fair, and they're not giving people what they deserve, and you don't even get paid. It's like, okay, so that's not really what's stopping you from succeeding, because that's hit Trevor and he's still going. It's hit me, I'm still going. What people do is when they're not succeeding and they see some of these stories of like people not getting paid, as they go, see, I can kind of pack it up. It's not worth it. It's not fair. It's not that I didn't try. Just this industry is screwed and I don't want anything to do with that. Okay, you can feel that way. It's totally what you want to feel. I think you guys here in the syndicate don't feel that way. That's why you've invested in your education, in your career here. And that's why you guys are going to go the distance with us, okay? Because you're not going to be completely demotivated. It can still feel like a punch in the gut. Not going to feel great. We're just being honest with you about that. But if that's what takes you off the path, you're not strong enough for this, okay? You're going to have to just get through these things of like, it wasn't fair. I think I missed some money. Okay, yes, absolutely. I mean, Trevor and I can probably both put many salaries together of the money that we have not gotten and we should have gotten. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
Just keep moving. That's it. So thank you so much, Trevor. If you guys have any more questions about media buys or anything that we talked about today, just comment on this post, and either myself or Trevor will try to answer those for you.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it.